You're listening to the Armchair GM Sports Network. And welcome into another episode of Sabres Semantics right here on the Armchair GM Sports Network. As always, proud to be brought to you by Global Pet Foods, where pets are undeniably part of the family, and there are three great Niagara region locations: Niagara Falls, Fawn Hill, and Scott Street in St. Catharines. Thank you to everybody tuned in live on the video version on YouTube. Make sure to hit like, hit subscribe, smash that bell, and leave your comments as well on today's video and your thoughts on the game tonight. Obviously didn't go in the Sabres' way, falling 6-2 to the Montreal Canadiens in Game 3 of the Stanley Cup playoffs. Thank you to everybody tuned in on your favorite on-demand audio podcast platform the next morning when this comes out. Make sure to give us a 5-star rating, whatever one you've chosen to listen to us on. Brandon Caputo here with you as always, and I'm pleased to welcome on another guest contributor here. That would be Jonathon Howe from 97.7 Hits FM. Jonathon, I know you're a big Sabres a follower as well. You do great work on the radio station on the Niagara side here, 97.7, a very popular radio station here. And I know you're excited to talk Sabres. It's unfortunate that your first appearance on the show is after a loss, but appreciate you coming on anyway.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man. I mean, this is like this. I wish the circumstances were a little bit better, but still a lot of fun. And I always love to talk Buffalo Sabres hockey. So excited to dive into what was a bit of a difficult one for us.
Yeah, so we'll touch on the game stats. We'll go over the scoring summary. We're going to get to the live post games with head coach Lindy Ruff, as well as select players that are made available to the media here tonight. Downtown Montreal was a rocking building there at the Bell Center. So we'll get all of that going for you guys as well. And yeah, just a 6-2 defeat for the Sabres. They fall 2-1 in the series as of now. Tuesday night, another game at the Bell Center before they go back home. The Sabres with home ice advantage in the series. They've now technically lost that at the moment right now. But again, if you split in Montreal, you've got a best of 3 with 2 games on home ice for 5 and 7. And you just have to win 2 of those if they're able to get the split. I said coming in, Jonathon, if they got a split in Montreal, that would be a win, because we know, and we saw it tonight, just how amazing that building can be for playoff games in Montreal.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, for me though, the way the game started, it's not that they fully took the crowd out of it, but with Thompson scoring 53 seconds into the game, I mean, come on, like that is your prime opportunity to truly get going and take the Montreal crowd out of it and level that factor right away. And it just felt like they just didn't really seize the opportunity to like really keep the pressure on it and fully make this a difficult night for Montreal and their fan base.
Yeah, you're right about that. We'll get into that with the scoring summary, but for full disclosure, for those that are listening on the American side, and we're a Canadian-based Sabres podcast, but we had to listen to the CBC broadcast, and with Montreal being the last Canadian team in the playoffs, they sure as heck on the Hockey Night in Canada broadcast are pumping Montreal's tires. And I mean, rightfully so, but I mean,
brutal.
Before the game even started, I think Ron McLean said the Cathedral of Hockey or the Mothership about 4 times before the puck was even dropped in Montreal. So you Americans have no idea what this is like right now, having to listen to these very much pro Montreal Canadian broadcasts on the Canadian side. And before the Habs fans come after me in the comments, I understand why they do it. Okay, it's a Canadian broadcast for a reason, and the Canadiens are the last remaining team in the playoffs. So I understand it, but from our perspective, having to listen to it and watch it, it just it made me chuckle a little bit. I don't know about you.
It was so frustrating. Like, I've been, for the most part, watching the American feeds going forward. Like, obviously, round one was awesome because we got Dan and Rob, depending on if you were able to grab that feed, right, and watch the games that way. So there was a point where I literally thought about muting the TV and putting the radio call on because I couldn't stand it. The like Chris Cuthbert is an absolute legend. Like, I'm not here to rain on the guy's parade, but he's hit that point now where he's making like mistakes. Like, he was talking about how Beck Malenstein was on Washington battling the Canadiens in the playoffs last year. No, he wasn't. He was still with the Sabres. Like, and I know there's like lots of little things that you can get wrong and whatever, but it's just like, I don't know. It just constantly feels like the Sabres, they don't bother to give enough credit or do enough research. Even the stats team, I feel like they waste their time and they don't look up things as much as they possibly should to properly cover the game. Obviously, everybody, Team Canada wise, is trying to go behind Montreal, and I get it. And honestly, if it was the case where Montreal does defeat the Sabres, I'd probably be pulling for them the rest of the way myself, even. But like, it's really frustrating, and I feel like, I don't know. It just feels like everything right now is against the Sabres, and even when the Sabres do something good on the ice, it's like it's a shock to people up here, and it's like it shouldn't be. This team has been one of the best teams in the NHL since December, guys. Like, I don't know.
It's frustrating for sure, and we love Chris Cuthbert. We love Canadian, Olympic hockey and the great calls he's had over the years there. But yeah, just a very much a pro Montreal Canadiens broadcast, and the national broadcast, in general, I feel like are a little bit lesser than the local broadcast, and that's taking nothing away from the people that work there. But it just, when the big guys come in for the playoffs and get all the glory at the end, you feel for the local markets. And yes, listening to Dan and Razor on the radio, sometimes it's hard to sync it up. But if you can, obviously for us here in Canada, that's would be something that we'd look for. The people in the United States are probably just wondering what the heck we're even talking about here. But again, that's why we're a Niagara region Canadian Sabres podcast. So we can gripe about this a little bit at the beginning of the show. Okay. So with that said, Jonathan, let's look ahead to just sort of quickly over the game stats here. And as always, those are brought to you by J&L Flooring. If you think you'd a better deal anywhere else, you don't know Jack, check them out at jnlflooring.com or visit their Niagara Falls location to begin your quality flooring project today. I know Jack's not going to be upset, or he's going to be upset about tonight's result, being a big Sabres guy himself. But yeah, I mean, when you look at that, Jonathan, shots, in favor of the Canadiens, but the Sabres in that third period, with the Canadiens sort of trying to play defense with that lead there, they end up leading in the shot department 36-28. The first two periods were telling in that sense. You expected a better face-off performance for the Sabres with Sam Carrick coming back in. Forgot to mention that off the top as well. This is his first game after being injured in late March. So he was back in there, the Sabres' best face-off man, but the Canadiens took that category pretty handily tonight, 62.3% to the Sabres, 37.7%. And then you can see, penalty minutes, hits, block shots. The Sabres actually had one more than the Canadiens did. They had one less giveaway, and they had 6 takeaways on the night. But 6-2 on the score sheet. I don't know if there's anything you want to touch on from the game stats tonight.
I mean, it's almost like with the shots on goal, things got closer than they should have been. Like, I felt like once the game kind of got out of hand, and I don't know, like I wanted more from the Sabres early on. I don't really care about the totals. It was the differential between the two teams in the first period and the second period, right? You look at that first period, 14-8 to be outshot like that. That's not going to fly, especially on the road. You got to get pucks on net. We're not going to see the same success that we saw in game one, where what was it? I think Dobish gave up 4 on 9 or something like that. I think it was back in the first game in Buffalo. That's not going to happen again. You need to get pucks on net. You need to test him. You need to make him work. You need to make him as tired as the Canadiens ended up making Alex Lyon throughout the night. Even in the second period, it still wasn't that much better. Still outshot by 5 shots, and then in the third you kind of have the edge, but that's because you're chasing the game, right? So for me, it's just about making these stats a little bit more even, or even trying to lead these categories coming out of the first, coming out of the second period. And I think that's where Buffalo's biggest problem is, that I don't know. I haven't loved their first periods, and really, I haven't loved them most of the playoffs as a whole, but especially in this series, I have not loved the last 2 games that the Sabres have had.
Yeah, early in the series against Boston, they really struggled in the first periods, and then they started to get it going a little bit near the end of that series and were able to close it out. But everyone was sort of, I don't want to say on their high horse after game one. That's maybe I'm a little bit too far on that one, but everybody was a little bit overconfident. I said, okay, guys, like, let's relax here. Montreal's going to adjust. They just came off a 7-game series against the Tampa Bay Lightning where you have to have a game or so to adjust to the Sabres team. And I knew that there was going to be a pushback from Marty St. Louis' team. They're always ready to go. They're always ready to bounce back after a loss. And even though the Sabres are one of the best road teams in the NHL this season, I knew that the second game obviously went as it went for Montreal's favor. And then you expected the Sabres to have, a solid performance. And, guys like Tage Thompson were highly ridiculed for what was a very tough game for him. It is only one game, and Tage Thompson is still the leader of that forward group. So it was nice to see him get the goal early, 55 seconds in. But then, they really, as you mentioned, they really didn't build off of that. And they let the Montreal crowd get going, get back into it. And we saw, just as you mentioned, just at times they looked lost. The Sabres did in the defensive zone coverage. With the lineup, there really wasn't any changes other than Sam Carrick coming in for Tyson Kozak as that fourth line center on the night. I know Stanley's going to get some criticism for a couple of the goals tonight as well, but which we'll talk about the scoring summary there. But it just, as far as looking at what we saw tonight from the lineup, Jonathan, like, is there anything that you might want to see different? Or even, we saw them shake up the power play units as well. Should mention that Lindy Ruff did try out some different combinations there, but I don't know if you got any thoughts there.
I thought the changes on the power play were actually to the benefit of the Sabres. I liked what I saw. I know it still wasn't a super successful night. You had Dahlin get a power play goal for the guys, but the big thing that I was looking at as the night went on was Jason Zucker, his time on ice, right? Like, he is not playing a fourth line role right now, but he still only had, according to the numbers I'm seeing, 6 minutes, 47 seconds of ice time throughout the game. I think he's one of those guys that's battling something, and like everybody's battling something, and we're not supposed to speculate on injuries, all that. I get that. But I just think about it, like, if you're only giving 6 minutes of ice time to Jason Zucker, if that's all he's got, I kind of would almost say, let's give him a rest and get Kozak back in there. Cause I didn't hate what Kozak was giving you centering that fourth line. And then that gives you, with Carrick now back in it, that gives you another guy who's somewhat decent in the face-off zone. Like, I don't think that Kozak hurts you in the dot necessarily. I mean, I haven't looked at the numbers that badly, but from the eye test, I didn't see anything that jumped off the page where I was like, man, Kozak's got to get off being a centerman. That's not going to work. But I will say that Tage Thompson right now cannot win a faceoff to save his life. And that's been something he's struggled with since they've tried to make him a center, going back to the Granato days, right? So to me, I'm wondering, like, maybe if you give Zucker a night off, you put Carrick back maybe between Benson and Doan, then maybe you move Thompson to the wing and give the opportunity to Norris take some more draws. I don't know if that's the play. I don't know if you put Carrick up there, but I just think you got to get Thompson out of the dot, because that's the killer. Even on the power play, is that they never start with the puck. They're like, very rarely are they actually winning a faceoff in the zone to start a power play. And that's automatically wiping 15 seconds of time to set up and get the puck rotating around, which is the Sabres' strength. When they get the puck moving between guys, making passes, going east-west on the power play, I think that's where they can really expose Montreal. Looking at Dobish in net, the only goals we've scored on him, it's been screenshots and it's been east-west plays, right? Think about that last game where they're, Benson's at the net side, stick down, tap in, right? Even in the first game, it was either side to side, post to post. You get Dobish moving, you expose him that way, or you got to give us a seeing eye shot that he doesn't see, right? Like, you're not going to beat this guy clean. He's feeling it too much. So I don't know. I don't want to be overreacting here, and like, I know how much Jason Zucker has given us and given our team throughout the year, but I just feel like if he can't give you more than 6 minutes in a night, I think I'd rather see Tyson Kozak out there, who I believe is healthy. And I don't know if you saw that pop that Carrick got at the end from Xhekaj. It's like, I don't know what Carrick was dealing with, but I can't imagine getting punched in the face helps you very much in your first game. So
No, and with Osland, he was a guy that you liked when he was in the lineup, but then obviously he's been injured and is going to be out for the rest of the series, so that's unfortunate as well. And you mentioned with the power play, the problem is the zone entries, and when they don't start with the puck and they have to try to get the puck back into the zone, that's when mistakes happen, and that's what we've seen with the Sabres power play, not being able to start with the puck and set up there. And as you mentioned about Jason Zucker, you don't want to speculate on any injuries, but from Matthew Fairburn said that Zucker only played 3 minutes and 32 seconds through 2 periods, and that's just, I don't know if he's dealing with an injury there. I guess we'll have to wait and see if Lindy Ruff updates us later on that one. But yeah, just when you look at the discrepancy and what we saw from the points with the what we saw from the player stats tonight, and I got to pull it up on my screen because I can't read it because the interface is too small on my screen. So we know Benson got 12 minutes in penalties, and I mean that's pretty standard for what the game he's sort of been playing and the role that he's adapted to for the Sabres. But when you look at the ice time tonight, Dahlin led it with 23 minutes. You also had Byram with over 20 minutes. Samuelson played over 23 minutes tonight. Stanley played less than 12 minutes, so I don't know if he played a little bit less in that third period after, giving up that goal, trying to get back in the defensive end, and then the Sabres trying to press, so they don't really want Stanley on the ice when they're trying to create offense. So that might have been that there, but yeah, I mean everybody else played at least just over 10 minutes, except for Jason Zucker and Sam Carrick tonight. We know what happened with Malenstein and taking that penalty with Dobish, which we'll talk about a little bit after as well. But yeah, I mean, just, Quinn was -2 tonight. Tuck was -2 tonight. Thompson was -2 tonight, even though he scored 50 seconds in. Byram -2. Dahlin was -2. And I know that there was an empty net goal in there by Montreal and things like that. But they're just going to need to have better performances up and down the lineup offensively. You can't have Doan and Benson working hard every single game and nobody else really pulling the rope there. So I just think they need better contributions from some of those veteran players that are being paid to produce and that are expected to produce.
I think that first series, right, one of the takeaways was, long term for us Sabres fans and people who are following the Sabres is, man, Alex Tuch, he is earning a lot of money. He's going to get himself paid. Da, 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 da. I kind of feel like the last couple games have cost Alex Tuch some money. I want more out of Tuch. I want a little bit more defensive responsibility. I didn't love the penalty he took. I thought it was, kind of a lazy stick penalty to take, and I don't find him shooting enough. I just think there's something amiss right now, and maybe it's just there's too many guys who are dealing with too much going on or whatever it is, but they just don't seem to have the immediacy that I want to see out of them. When Buffalo is playing their best hockey, everything is boom, boom. Pucks are coming off sticks real quick. And it's like, it doesn't really matter. I know I just singled out Alex Tuch, but it doesn't really matter who you look at right now. I felt like everybody was just a split second too slow to get rid of the puck, to make the play, to move the puck north. Everything is just taking a touch too long. And maybe that's Montreal just being that much faster, that much more determined to get the puck. Maybe that's all it is. But it just feels like there's so many guys who had opportunities to make really quick bang, bang plays. The puck play that Lindy Ruff is always talking about. I just feel like tonight and even last game, it's not going fast enough to give them the opportunity to tilt the ice in their favor.
Coming into tonight, Buffalo had won 3 straight postseason games on the road, tied for their longest streak with a single postseason in franchise history. They were outscoring opponents by 10 on the road this season, the highest amongst playoff teams. They 2006 and 1998 were the other teams that the Sabres had, but the longest road win streaks in a postseason, and they had a +10 goal differential, was tied for the best that they've ever had in the playoffs on the road so far this season. But obviously tonight didn't go their way. We'll quickly go over the scoring summary, as always, brought to you by the Niagara Employment Help Center, helping people find work in the Niagara region since 1983. Check out their up-to-date job board at ehc.on.ca to find your next work opportunity today. Yeah, my first notes, we're talking about the Cathedral of Hockey and the mothership I'm done with that. We mentioned Tage Thompson, picks up the friendly rebound off the back wall behind Dobish in an empty net. And you're thinking, wow, if there was ever a guy that needed a break like that, it was Tage Thompson, who hasn't scored since he had that, epic 2-goal comeback for the Sabres in game 1 against the Bruins. Had gone 7 straight games without a goal. And 55 seconds in, it's 1-0 Buffalo. And you mentioned right away, you stun the Montreal crowd, and you're thinking, okay, this is going to look a lot different than we saw in game 2.
Yeah, it felt like this is the exact moment we needed. Thompson's going to get his breakout. It was it felt like a power play marker because it was Dahlin from Thompson, like your big boys getting after it, getting early. It really felt like something special that was going to, really allow for the Sabres to break through the dam. And then from there, it just seemed like Montreal became a much more desperate team. And Buffalo, again, just in my eyes, they just were not quick enough. They were not fast enough. They did not want to move the puck north, like I say. And eventually Montreal was able to break them with that Alex Newhook goal, Alex Newhook, what do we do? Why are we letting this guy torch us? The Newfie's just crushing us right now.
I have a Colorado Avalanche fan, and I texted him after the last game and said, I'm not really a fan of Avalanche legend Alex Newhook. And then I literally just texted him again tonight with the same thing and said, this statement still stands. So imagine him on Colorado right now. I mean, if they weren't already an unstoppable wagon, Alex Newhook really, performing well. And I will give it to the CBC broadcast. They talked about Newhook playing down in a role, and maybe that was better for him. Clearly, he's been one of Montreal's best players so far in the playoffs. Tuck actually came in as the Sabres, top point producer. But as you mentioned, just the start of this series has not been good. And especially the last two have not been good enough for number 89. And I'm sure he would be the first to probably say that as well. And we should mention Tage Thompson's comments after last game when he was asked by reporters, are you playing injured? And he basically just said, it's none of your business. So again, you can take that one or two ways. Either he just doesn't want to talk about anything at all, or maybe he is playing through an injury, and we know players are playing through a lot in the playoffs on all teams. But people keep going back to this one play in the Bruins series where he kind of got slew-footed. I think it was from McAvoy. But it didn't really seem to affect him going forward. But, I'm sure he's playing through something like a lot of the players are on every team. So, he just gave a short response like that after a loss. I'm not going to grill him for it, but I found it kind of interesting that he sort of barked at that.
Yeah, the red flag for me was, I think it was the final power play the Sabres had tonight, where there was a moment where he was set up in his office, so to speak, on that side in the power play, wound up and ended up passing off on the shot. And now I know, and I understand that, if you're wound up like that and you have the ability to maybe not shoot and just have it blocked or whatever. But if you're Tage Thompson and you can fire a shot as hard as he can, why would you not take the shot? And if one of Montreal's players steps in front of it and they break their ankle in front of it, that's playoff hockey. They didn't need to do that. They didn't need to step in front of a 98-mile-an-hour slap shot. That's the way it goes. And yeah, you didn't score, but if you're just dishing the playoff back to Dahlin and he's not shooting, then why are you wasting it? So the only other reason in my head that Thompson doesn't take that shot is I'm wondering if he's got something he's dealing with, whether it's something in the back, maybe a shoulder, whatever. Again, I'm not here to speculate. I'm not a doctor. I'm not going to pretend to play it on TV or anything either. But I just look at that moment in the game, and I think there was more than a few moments maybe in the Boston series where he was trying something like that and the stick would either explode in his hand or he'd fall on it, whatever. And I just was like, the guy is not necessarily feeling himself, and you still got to find a way to be effective. And I think, for the most part, I didn't really have a ton of criticism for Thompson. I know he got burned on that play at the blue line-ish area in game 2. It happens, kind of looked like he caught a rut and tangled up his feet, whatever. Maybe it's a leg injury that prevented him from being as nimble as normal. But I mean, he's been coming out, he's been laying the body, he's trying to do something, he's trying to manufacture things as best as he possibly can. I don't know. This is just playoff hockey. This is just one of those times. The 2016 was a wagon, and then all of a sudden every single defenseman that we had was hurt. So this is playoff hockey. It happens. You're going to have to battle through. But I want to see the Sabres, if they're going to lose games like that, I want to see somebody go out there and take a bite of somebody else. And I'm not seeing enough of that either.
Yeah, we saw Malenstein do it with Dobish, and again, was that maybe a little bit too far, and did he get lucky that he didn't get a 5-minute major? Probably. But again, you need a little bit of fight back, and other than 91-6, which is Doan and Benson, there isn't enough of that from the rest of the guys right now. I know there's scrums, but it just feels like Montreal has the momentum right now in this series, and the Sabres are going to have to turn it back in their favor. And again, like for Tage, hopefully that goal gets him a little bit of confidence going into Game 4. We saw how snake bitten Cole Caulfield has been for the Montreal Canadiens, and he got on the board tonight. I'll just move forward with the scoring summary there. Newhook on the rebound as Evans kind of had Lyon out of the crease. Lyon was very aggressive, I will say, especially in that first period. There were a lot of times where he was right outside the crease coming out to challenge the pucks. But that one was caused with the Timmins turnover on the forecheck. Lyon was very aggressive, as I mentioned, and Newhook was able to pot that thing in on the rebound as Evans kind of got that initial shot, and it was 1-1 at that point. Because you thought, darn, like the Sabres got a lead, and then you wondered if they could get that second one. It could really change things. Montreal was able to get that thing tied and have it 1-1 going into the second period. The Sabres also had a power play, didn't do anything on it. Then the 5.5% on the power play in the playoffs. Just yeah, I mean we've been beating a dead horse with that all season long on this episode on this podcast, Jonathan. So I just it is what it is. And then Dahlin takes a penalty at the end of the period, which negated the rest of that power play to start the second. But, you thought 1-1 out of the first period. I didn't hate it, but I felt like the Sabres had a missed opportunity to really, either get more of a lead there or at least just have more confidence, because I felt like Montreal swung the momentum in their favor by the end of the first.
Yeah, I agree too. I just, you let them back into the game there, and then it's just, you can't. I don't think he can do that. I think what we learned from that Boston series is the power of going up 2 goals. 2 goals. I know everyone's like, oh, it's the most dangerous lead in hockey. I feel like just in general across the board in these playoffs so far, it feels like if you can get up 2 on somebody, you can manage the game a lot better. You're not chasing it, and everybody else who is chasing it, it kind of wears you down, makes you grab the stick a little bit tighter. You just can't quite make things happen the same way when you're chasing a game as opposed to when you're attacking from a position of strength. So I don't know. I agree with you. I really wanted to see Buffalo get either a 2-0 lead or even a 2-1 lead just to see where things could have gone and if they could have kept the momentum rolling down the hill, as opposed to what we saw where it seems like they kind of every once in a while just get hemmed in, and then it's a scramble. Then it's Lyon battling, which I can appreciate his battle. I can appreciate his fight. I know how good he is on the road, but I don't know. I something's got to shake up, I think, in that lineup and in that room. And I'm starting to look at maybe the goaltending position and maybe is it time to go back to UPL? But I don't even know if UPL is better suited to deal with some of the goals we saw, right? Like, I don't know. What do you do on that Slavkovsky goal when he's sitting there all alone, like front and center in Broadway?
Yeah, I mean, again, Lindy Ruff has sort of rode the hot hand all year long with the 3 goalies when you add Colton Ellis into that. But again, like Lyon's given them an opportunity to win. He came up with some big saves in that second period as well, or could have even been worse by the end of it. Montreal gets 4 straight goals there between the end of the first and then the second period. The power play goal by Caulfield after Greenway's stick had broke, so it was basically a 5-on-3. Caulfield just kind of found the puck in the slot there, buried it to give the Habs a 2-1 lead there on the man advantage, and for Caulfield finally waking him up, which is not good for the Sabres if number 13, the best goal scorer in the National Hockey League this year, gets going. Could have been worse. The Sabres got a break when Deneau had scored, but they ruled that his stick had pushed Lyon into the net, but the puck was still loose. I thought that was a goal. So I think the Sabres got lucky on that one. That was another Montreal goal that sort of got called back. And then Stanley turned the puck over in the neutral zone. The puck got shipped back out, and we know, his deficiencies, in the skating department, but Villano is able to beat him to the puck and then finds Bolduc out front to make it 3-1. And then Malenstein, as we mentioned, bowled over Dobish there. It only resulted in a 2-minute power play. And then that resulted in that Slavkovsky goal, as you mentioned, just standing right in the blue paint, nobody around him, tips in the Lane Hudson shot. And just like that, the Sabres are shell-shocked, and it's 4-1 after, what was a 1-1 game after the first. And after the second, I know Dahlin ended up getting that power play goal with Benson standing in front, but it's 4-2 after the second, and I didn't have any really good feelings even when Dahlin scored that power play goal.
I did feel pretty decent the way they came out in the third period, but I was watching the game and I was sitting there saying, like, where was this all game? Like, you cannot wait. You're in the second round of the playoffs. You cannot wait this long to get to your game. You have to, if you're going to score goals in the first minute of the game, you have to keep that momentum rolling, keep that ball rolling. And they just didn't find it. And I know Dahlin looks bad on the score sheet with the -2. I thought Dahlin played really, really well. I thought he activated really well. I thought he had some moments where he was a real leader and a driver on the ice for his team. Maybe I'm just trying to be a captain positive here and I'm missing something that was some glaring mistakes, and they could obviously let us know. The listeners, the fans can let us know. But for me, Dahlin did everything I could ask it of him as a captain. I thought he stirred it up between whistles really well, threw some good hits, threw some good reverse hits. But, you needed more from Dahlin. Byram has had a really quiet series after how good he was against Boston. He has been really, really quiet. Owen Power, I think there's enough people who pile on Owen Power. And would I love to see him on the score sheet? Absolutely. But I don't necessarily think that he's been awful either. He's just kind of been there. He's playing like a fourth defenseman. But when the guy's got the skill set that he's got, I wouldn't mind seeing a little more out of Owen Power going forward,
Yeah, no, he was like I'm looking at a lot of the forwards right now, but as you mentioned, yes, after how productive the Sabres decor has been during the regular season and how effective it was in that first round, you're wondering, okay, when's it going to start coming here? We see what Hudson's doing on the Montreal side and how he's controlling play from that power play. And I know Dahlin had that really nice power play goal where he took that stutter step, waited it out and then threw it on net. And Dobish didn't even see that puck because Ben's standing in front. They just needed to do more of that.
Mm-hmm.
And Dahlin's obviously nominated or a finalist for the Norris Trophy. And we had Joe Yerdon on, reporter of the Sabres Bleacher Report, just talking about how good Dahlin's been, and we know what everything that he's dealt with. It's hard to ask him to kind of carry the load on that end. He gets the power play goal, but it's 4-2 Montreal after 2, and then it's a 2-on-1 with the Sabres sort of trying to push there. Texier and Deneau go down on the 2-on-1. Doc gets the puck back out front on the rebound. No one's around Lyon to help him, scrambling around. It's 5-2, and then Newhook gets the de facto empty net goal when Dahlin was hooking him on, which is a penalty, which results in basically a goal there for Newhook in the empty net. And the final 6-2 on that on the night. I know, again, I just wanted to see a little bit more fight. I know the shots are very lopsided and take that with discretion in the third period with Montreal playing with a lead. But yeah, just not a great performance for Buffalo tonight. And I know that, Malenstein doing what he did, it was, borderline dirty, but they need to get in the face more of Dobish. He's obviously feeling it right now. He's got the swagger, a little bit cocky as well, I must say, with just, his goal celebrations and how he's talking a lot to the Sabres opposing players. You can tell he's really feeling it right now. And the Sabres sort of have to get him off his game if they're going to have a chance to get back into this thing.
And to be fair, we loved that same energy when it was Alex Lyon giving that energy to Boston in the first round, right? So it's not something that Sabres fans should be shocked that we're seeing. It shouldn't be anything that we're upset about seeing. You mentioned the Malenstein play. I was running my mouth. I was saying I'm watching the game with my wife, and I was saying that somebody's just got to go and crash the crease. You got to get in there. You got to go and slam his cupboards a little bit, rattle the kitchen sink a little bit, see if you can knock him off his game. And maybe instead of going after Dobish, what really needs to happen is, look, if Logan Stanley is going to play 11 minutes and be a -1 and take 12 PIMs, I need to see that guy grab somebody and beat the hell out of him. Which I know we're not really supposed to encourage that sort of stuff in hockey this anymore. I get it. But you have a guy like that who's a monster. And
you know what Jack Eye's doing on the Montreal side.
So. Well, yeah, you've got Jack Eye on the other side doing the same thing. And you have Kesselring sitting there as well. So, like, even if Stanley breaks his hand on somebody's face on Montreal, I'm confident that Kesselring could come in and at least give you 5 to 6 minutes and get you through it, if not more. I really don't love that guy didn't get the opportunity down the line to be another tower back there. But I mean, Connor Timmins was so reliable and still is in my mind, not really doing anything to cost himself. I know he's -1 today, took a penalty today in today's game, but I don't know. I just think you got guys like Greenway, you got guys like Stanley. Somebody needs to grab somebody and make an example out of them on Montreal. And even if you lose that fight, if it gives a little bit of life to your team, it gives you something to write home about. Like, it just feels like they're a little bit too passive with their opportunities to be aggressive. And that doesn't mean also that I want them running around either, because when I reflect on game 2, I felt like out of the gate, the Sabres ran around a little bit too much, where they were looking to be on kill, hit everything in sight, and Montreal focused on playing the puck, and that's how they got out ahead early in game 2. Tonight, I thought Buffalo was a little bit better about playing the puck early and trying to generate chances, but they still ended up falling flat. And I'm like somebody's got to do something here. And you mentioned Benson and Doan, like it can't just be them. Like somebody has got to get dragged into a fight. I don't know how you're finding it, but I'm finding the refs are way too quick to break everything up. Like, I don't know what they're really afraid of is going to happen. But like, I think some of the silliness that you saw at the end of the game could have been prevented by maybe letting a couple of guys go at it earlier in the night. I don't know. That's just kind of what I was feeling, what I was seeing. I felt like they were just jumping on things too quickly, trying to keep the lid on the game instead of just maybe letting two guys go to center ice and settle it themselves, you know?
I think there was a mandate from the league. I think CBC brought that up on the broadcast that they wanted to see the series have a little bit more decorum, I guess you could say. So I think that's why the refs were breaking it up. But yeah, we saw with the Malenstein, running Dobish, what that created. And then at the end of the game, we saw that, full line brawl. It was, again, other than Doan, Benson, and Malenstein, I didn't see enough of that from everybody else tonight.
Mm-hmm. No, and it's like gloves have to hit ice. Like, even if it's just two guys, if it's two guys that square off, right, and those are the only gloves that drop all night, you can live with that. You can deal with that in a playoff hockey game. And I get what the league is saying. I get it, whatever. But that's also how you end up with a Charlie McAvoy incident, like we saw at the end of the series, where he's starting to swing his stick around after what he feels like was dirty, after he was dirty all series too, right? So to me, I don't know. I guess I have an old school mentality, and I feel like maybe there's still a room for that, or maybe the Tampa game is still lingering in the back of my brain for what I want to see out of this team and what I want to see out of hockey when things are getting a little out of control. But I don't know. I need more fight from the boys. I need a little bit more. As much as I need the fight, I come back to it's got to be the quickness. Like, we need to see pucks off stick really quick. I just feel like they're hesitating. They're thinking a little too much. Maybe they're looking for that pretty pass. Worry about getting that pretty pass when the puck is below the dots in the other end. You got to get it to there first, and then you can start to maybe take your time and set something up.
And we know Montreal has the combatants to be able to want to drop the gloves too. So if that's what the Sabres got to do to try to turn momentum in the series, you're right. And they have to be able to not be so indecisive with the puck, especially on the power play. Be able to you watch the way Montreal moved it around, and again, that 5-man unit is really lethal. And we saw it tonight with their 2 power play goals. And again, the Sabres have to stop taking bad penalties. They took an offensive zone penalty that resulted in a goal tonight. So again, a lot on the tape for Lindy Ruff to be able to learn from and adjust from, because we know Marty St. Louis is going to have his team ready come Tuesday. We'll have to see with Lindy Ruff. We're going to take a quick commercial break on the show today. We're going to come back. We're going to hear from head coach Lindy Ruff and possibly a player as well from the Sabres side, and get some more analysis on tonight's game. So stay right here, right back on Sabres Semantics, right here on the Armchair GM Sports Network, proudly brought to you by Global Pet Foods, where pets are undeniably part of the family. We'll be right back shortly.
Pets bring immense joy to our homes, becoming an integral part of our families. But this living, loving experience often requires a little extra care and attention. That's where Global Pet Foods comes in, with owners and staff ready to support you every step of the way. Check out one of their locations today: 3643 Portage Road in Niagara Falls, 160 Highway 20 in Font Hill, or 400 Scott Street in St. Catharines. Global Pet Foods, where pets are undeniably part of the family.
J&L Flooring is a Niagara-based specialty flooring and design company. They take great pride and provide elite customer service and support. They are a specialty flooring and decor boutique shop with a beautiful showroom, great pricing, and a wide variety and truly unique selection of products. All their products are environmentally friendly and responsibly produced, so you can feel good about your flooring choices. Their goal as a local business is to build authentic relationships based on honesty and integrity that they foster with respect and authenticity. Offering a unique and wide range of quality products presented by a knowledgeable and patient team, they connect with our customers, simplifying the process to make your life easier and to make your home more beautiful. Visit them at 4424 Montrose Road in Niagara Falls or find out more at jnlflooring.com. If you think you can get a better deal anywhere else, you don't know Jack at J&L Flooring.
Are you currently looking for work in the Niagara region? If so, you owe it to yourself to check out the services provided by the Niagara Employment Help Center, located at 6100 Thoroldstone Road in Niagara Falls. Their many free services include a fully staffed resource area open to the public, resume and cover letter writing, local labor market information, job search strategies, assistance with clarifying employment, training and career goals, employment counseling and job search support, Better Jobs Ontario information, and registration assistance. Check out their website at ehc.on.ca or call 905-358-0021 for more information. The Niagara Employment Help Center, helping people find work since 1983. This Employment Ontario program is funded by the Government of Ontario.
Wild Bill's Auto Repair is your local center for auto maintenance and repair in the Niagara region. Since 2012, Wild Bill's Auto Repair and Body Shop has been helping customers stay safe and confident on the road, knowing their vehicle is in top running condition through the garage's services. Located at 7868 Oakwood Drive in Niagara Falls, the garage started as a tribute to the owner's father, William Robert Hunter, who passed away, continuing the same community spirit and high level of service which customers can expect from him back at Hunter's Auto Repair. Their multi-award-winning auto shop has earned the trust of the Niagara community with its fair treatment of all customers who can feel confident they'll get trustworthy advice and repairs during their visit. Their experienced crew loves meeting new people and looks forward to forming a lasting partnership for the care of your vehicles. To find out more or to book a service, contact them today at 905-358-7868 or wildbillsauto.ca. Wild Bill's Auto Repair, helping customers stay safe and confident on the road since 2012.
Fourth Wall is the official merchandise supplier of the Armchair GM Sports Network. Our user-friendly site is print to order with no minimum items or inventory needed, shipped right to your doorstep safely and efficiently from their North American warehouse. All of our logos are available to supporters, listeners, and viewers can have the best variety available to them for their swag preferences. All items are priced as low as possible, allowing everybody who wants to support our business with the opportunity to do so, receiving quality and comfortable products in return. Shop today at fourthwall.com with the direct link to our Armchair merch store in the description of all episodes and in the bio of all of our social media accounts. Become an Armchair GM today with Fourth Wall.
You're listening to the Armchair GM Sports Network.
Hey, hey, here we go, it's hockey night in Buffalo. Hey, hey, here we go, the boys in blue, white, and gold. Hey, hey, here we go, make some noise, get in the zone. All for one and one for all, let's hear you from your heart and soul. And we will stand, raising our hands, saying, let's go, Buffalo, let's go.
And welcome back to part 2 of today's Sabres Semantics post-game episode, live on the Armchair GM Sports Network YouTube channel. Thank you to everybody tuned in here on the YouTube version. On the video episode, make sure to hit like and subscribe and smash that bell and comment your thoughts on the game tonight. We appreciate you as always on the YouTube side, and thank you to our loyal on-demand audio podcast platform listeners. Please make sure to give us a 5-star rating or whatever one you chose to listen to us on. You can also give us a follow on X at Sabres Semantics, as well as on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok by searching the Armchair GM Sports Network. As always, Sabres Semantics is proudly brought to you by Global Pet Foods, where pets are undeniably part of the family, and there are 3 great Niagara region locations in Niagara Falls, Fawn Hill, and Scott Street in St. Catharines. Brandon Caputo and Jonathon Howe of 97.7 Hits FM back with you, continuing to break down this Sabres 6-2 loss in Game 3 of their second-round Stanley Cup playoff matchup against the Montreal Canadiens. Jonathan, I know we're going to go to head coach Lindy Ruff here in just a moment here, but again, if you're the Sabres, you got to look forward to Tuesday night because If you go down 3-1, that's going to be tough, because then you have to win the next 3, 5, 6, and 7, 2 of them at home. But then you got to go back to the Bell Center. Pivotal game 4, the swing game. It's either going to be 2-2, and you've got the best of 3 on home ice, or you're going to be down 3-1, and you've got to run the gauntlet.
Yeah, and I don't. It's so funny. Like, I don't know if it's just, after how many years of not having any playoff action to watch or whatever, I still remain positive. Like, I know I've kind of been sour on a few things here and there, but to me, they're not hard things to fix. I've seen the guys do enough. I don't think we're asking them to do things they haven't done already before. Like, if the Sabres play their game, there's no reason they can't win game 4. And if they win game 4 and it's 2-2 going back to Buffalo, it's a whole new series.
Yeah, it is. And again, I'm still positive that this season has already been a win. You broke a 14-season playoff drought. You won the Atlantic Division. You won a round. But again, when the team is so good right now and the path is there, with certain teams out or not even in it this year, you just wonder about what could be if they could, get to that next round against Carolina, who look to be, the class of the East, obviously as the number 1 seed. But again, it's just tough. But again, Montreal is a really fun team to watch, and another up and coming team. These 2 teams, I think, are going to be playoff teams for a very long time to come. And I just love watching Montreal play, as well as hard as it is as a Sabres supporter and trying to analyze the game on the Sabres side. Watching Montreal play is a lot of fun at the same time. So got to hand it to Marty St. Louis Club. They came out to play tonight, and they gave it to the Sabres. So I think on that note, we'll go to Sabres head coach Lindy Ruff with his post-game thoughts, brought to you by Wild Bill's Auto Repair, helping customers stay safe and confident on the road in Niagara since 2012 in honor of the late William Robert Hunter. Let me get the screen shared here, and we'll get to head coach Lindy Ruff with his post-game thoughts.
Next up, to defend, control, to face a group like Slavkovsky, Caulfield, Lane Hudson, Nick Suzuki.
Have to be smarter. We took 5 ozone penalties. Our discipline for that wasn't good enough. You let them operate 5-on-4, and we end up with a broken stick, penalty killing goal against, and you give them that much time, they're going to get opportunities.
What's going on with Jason Zucker? He was pretty low.
He just really he got caught, not being on the number 1 power play, and then with all the penalty killing, I think he sat there quite a while. So, I tried to keep, get the guys that were up and running, just keep them out there. What's that? Yeah, physically he's good, yeah.
Lindy, Tage said you guys just became too emotional. Even Keel has been a strength of yours, but did you see your group get too emotional tonight, I guess?
We've made some uncharacteristic decisions with the puck that we haven't made, even through the 6 games with Boston. You look at the 1 goal, easy play in the neutral zone. It should be an easy pass to Krebs. We missed the player by a big amount. They go the other way, and it's in the back of our net. Our puck play, I've talked about that the first couple games. Our puck play still isn't to a level that I'd like it.
Lindy, what were the things you guys were doing when you were having success that you're getting away from right now?
Just everything. We're, like I said, some of our puck decisions haven't been good. Some of the discipline in the game. Maybe I would disagree with maybe a couple of calls, but I think every night somebody's going to disagree with a call here or there. Our discipline is something that go to Game 6 in Boston.
Score.
Didn't. Yeah, I didn't. The team didn't take a penalty.
I know you didn't score, but those first 8 minutes of the third period, is that the takeaway offensively to get back to that, the forecheck?
Well, we got the best start we could get to the, and then again we're breaking a couple pucks out, and we made some ill-advised plays, some bad decisions that we haven't been making. So Montreal's a good team. They made us pay. They made us pay for our mistakes.
Lindy, was it the bad decisions that you're talking about that led to some of their open men in the offensive zone? It seemed like they had quite a few.
Yeah, for sure. We've been a good defensive team, and we let one breakdown take us to a place that we didn't need to get to inside the zone. As a kid, you're taught don't follow up a bad pass. We had some of those plays.
You talk about puck play, power plays all feed into it, but just how surprised are you that, pace of play, you guys want to go, but they really drove you into the ground at points of that game?
Yeah, I said they're a good team. But if you put the puck in the right place, you can control some of that play. I really feel that we fueled some of their aggression, and they get on you. They force some of those plays. So I give them a lot of credit. Like I said before this started, they beat a hell of a team. They are a hell of a team. Don't take them for granted. Now, if we don't realize it now, we're never going to realize it.
Lindy, your team split the first 2 games in Buffalo. How important is it to salvage a split here in Montreal? And what does your team have to do to split these 2 games now?
We really have to just worry about one game, the next game. Again, you look at some areas of the game improved. I thought our power play did everything but score again on the next couple power plays. You got to give their goaltender a lot of credit. He made some great saves, especially when we were trying to make it 4-3. That play was inside the zone, and so that improved. They did not take as many penalties. We'll get more of our players involved in the game, and so that's got improved too.
There was Sabres head coach Lindy Ruff on the Wild Bills Auto Repair postgame. As always, video courtesy of x.com/Buffalo Sabres, MSG, and the National Hockey League. Jonathan, what were your takeaways from what Lindy said there?
I think it's been he's been very consistent with his messaging all playoffs long, never too high, never too low. Puck play, we've heard it since basically day 1 of the season, since training camp. That has been the focus of this team. And when they do things the right way, and when they execute to Lindy's vision, to the full coaching staff's vision, we know what they're capable of, and they just didn't quite get there tonight. They didn't get there in game 2. Can they get there in game 4? There's no reason they can't. There isn't. There's no reason that they can't, because there are so many little things that, like, if they just clean them up, why not? Right? So, again, I don't want to harp on the guy. I'm looking at the time on ice sheet. I know he gave the reason of, Zucker's not playing on the power play anymore, so he's not getting as much ice time or whatever. Look at his line mates, McLeod and Quinn, who I know McLeod's a good face-off guy. Quinn's a shooter. He's got potential for like that. But, they had 3 minutes more ice time on even strength than Zucker did. So if Zucker's not trusted, or if he can't get the work in, I just wonder what moving Carrick up the lineup, moving Kozak back in, having some guys who can really start the Sabres off well, especially in the offensive zone by winning some faceoffs, of what that could do to this lineup going forward. It's probably overthinking it. I'm probably reinventing the wheel. But I will also point out the 10-game win streak was without Jason Zucker.
I do also want to give another point for Sabres fans to sink their teeth into. We know the Black Aces that were recalled from the Rochester Americans. Could Consta Helenius be a guy that gets in the lineup? We saw what happened when Noah Ostlund got back in the lineup, and I know he's played more NHL games than Helenius has, but at this point, as you mentioned, if they're not going to put Kozak back in the lineup, and they're going to try to take somebody out as just to kind of shake things up on that forward group, Helenius had a great season for the Amherst. So is he a guy I've seen on X just kind of quickly on the post game reaction that he's a guy that Sabres fans are clamoring for? But again, where do you put him? Do you put him on the wing? Like, who do you split up? Again, it's a tough decision, but I think Lindy's got to make a change here in game 4 somewhere.
Yeah, I agree. I think something's got to change just a little bit. Like, he's been so staunch on keeping things the same when they're winning, but now they've lost 2 in a row. So why not have a shakeup? You know, I think a lot of people point to UPL. I was quick to be like, maybe UPL should start game 3. And then I started to really think about it. And Alex Lyon's a guy who won 10 games in a row on the road this year, right? Like he is a road win merchant. So, and I don't really believe that had the Sabres defensive structure been stronger, I think the aggressive nature that Lyon played with tonight would have actually been to their benefit, but they didn't give him the support to play the way that he needed to. And that led to a lot of, not a lot of goals, but it led to the goals that we did see where maybe you want to see a save from Lyon or whatever. I just, there's work to be done, but there's no reason this team can't do the work, which is a great spot to be in.
We saw them do it in game 1, right? Like they had a great game 1 against Montreal. Again, I knew Montreal would adjust coming off that 7-game series against Tampa Bay, a gauntlet of a series against another great team that Lindy mentioned in that post game too. They beat a heck of a team. They are a heck of a team, and the Sabres can't take them lightly. Matthew Fairburn says that Lindy Ruff said the game had nothing to do with Alex Lyon. So again, it sounds like he'll be back in the net for game 4. Again, like you mentioned, is UPL going to make that big of a difference? I don't know, but they've had success in, riding the hot hand. And when somebody has an off game, they bring in the other guy and they get a bounce back victory. But I guess we'll have to wait and see for Tuesday on that. We usually go to a player of the game. It's tough to pick a player of the game in a 6-2 loss, Jonathan, but in honor of the Niagara Denture Clinic, creating natural smiles in the Niagara region for over 25 years, who's a player you just want to give a shout out to tonight?
I mean, I feel like we've talked a lot about Benson, and we've talked a lot about Doan and their contributions on the front end. I did mention that even though the score sheet may not reflect it, I thought that Darlene had a good game, but I think I got to give some love to Steady Eddie. In a game like this, when you don't notice Matthias Samuelsson, maybe that's a good thing. He had a shot on net. He had 2 blocks. He threw 5 hits tonight. Zeros across the board in terms of goals, assists, points, and plus minus. 23 minutes on ice. Sometimes you just need one of your defensemen to step up and be a steady Eddie. And Matthias Samuelsson really did a good job of holding things down and making sure that he wasn't giving Montreal any life. As much as I would have loved to see him get on the score sheet, sometimes in a game like this, that's exactly what you need from a guy like Matthias Samuelsson.
Yeah, and we know the offensive production Samuelsson had this season was the best in his National Hockey League career. He had that big goal against Boston, but again, has been a little bit quiet on the score sheet since. But again, a reliable guy playing alongside Darlene. I'm going to give it to Benson tonight. You could give it to him on most nights. Kind of an easy answer, an easy cop-out, but he was a guy I noticed on a lot. He was screened Dobish for Darlene's goal. He had a few chances beside the net as well. He was causing havoc. He was in the scrums. Number 6 is just a warrior out there, and a guy that loves to get in under the other team's skin, and he's been the heartbeat of this Sabres team as of late, and really, developing quite the following here in Buffalo. So I'm going to give it to him tonight, but it was nice to see Darlene get on the score sheet. It was nice to see Thompson get on the score sheet. So those are your top guys, but you're going to need to see bounce back games from guys like Tuck, guys like Jack Quinn needs to get going. We know he's a streaky scorer, but again, he's had a lot of chances in the playoffs. Zucker, if he's in there, got to have a bounce back from him. And then guys like McLeod have to have bounce back. Norris, we know he got taken off the top power play unit, but him with Benson and Doan can be a very effective line as well. So there's a lot that can be improved upon. Luckily, tonight is only one game. That's the other thing that you can take away from it, Jonathan, is that they can wipe this one away. And if they come out with a victory on Tuesday, it's all squared up and nobody will even, think about this game 3. And then they have to go and win 2 of the next 3. So I said this thing was going to go 7. And, it looks like if the Sabres can have a bounce back, we're on a crash course for possibly that. But it's just been fun to watch this so far. Just frustrating game tonight for Buffalo, and they got a little bit exposed with some of their defensive deficiencies. But I think that Lindy will have the team ready to go after 2 really tough games here.
Yeah, and I think the one thing that I wish we saw in this series that we did see in the Boston series is a longer break, a 2-day off. I really think 2 days off really helps this team. I know they're young and I know they've got speed and all that sort of stuff, but I think you look at game 1 when they had a bit of a break after the Boston series. You look at the difference between the game 3 and game 4 of the Boston series when there was that extended break between those two games, and the Sabres were able to really pile on Boston in that game 4, especially jump on them early. I think a little bit extra rest seems to go a long way to reset the legs of the Sabres, and they're not going to get that. So ultimate challenge is going to be on Tuesday. How do they come out? Can they get on the score sheet early like they did tonight? And can they keep the ball rolling downhill and really back Montreal into a corner and make them have to chase the game like they ended up having to chase tonight, especially through the second period?
So final thought from you, Jonathan, who would be the guy you want to see in the lineup, and what do you want to see change to go out?
Man, I don't know. Every time I was so gung-ho to be like, you got to put Yuppie in, you got to get Kozak back in there, you got to get Zucker out of there. And the more I think about it, I'm like, it really comes down to your best guys being your best guys. And I don't know who's battling through what and dealing with what, but Tuck's got to shake it off. Tomer's got to shake it off. We need to see a little bit more. Jack Quinn has been so snake bit. Like, it's not even like, I don't even really have that much of a problem with his game, because I've watched that guy hit more posts. Like, I think I put a tweet out the other day. I was like, if that guy keeps hitting posts like that, he's going to take my job at Hits FM, like as a radio DJ. Cause like, I couldn't believe it. But yeah, honestly, you just need your best guys to be your best guys. You can tweak the lineup here and there. I want to see the big boys be tough. I want to see Stanley and Greenway start grabbing some guys, and I want to see the best players be the best players on the Sabres. And if that happens, there's no reason that, never mind 7, this could be a Sabres win in 6, and I still believe that.
Yeah, I mean, they've got every capability to do that, right? We saw how this team responds all season long, and you expect them to respond, because if they don't, then this series could be over in Montreal's favor quicker than they expect. So yeah, the Sabres, we'll see what kind of lineup changes, if there are any, come Tuesday. I'm going to say I think Constantinius gets in the lineup. I don't know where he's going to play, but I have a weird feeling that the black ace for the Sabres up from Rochester is going to get an opportunity, because I think Ostland would have been a guy in the lineup right now if he didn't get injured. So
It'd be huge right now.
I think Kalenius is going to bring, a little bit of like youthfulness, no playoff experience, get him in there, see what you got in a first round pick, and a guy that they're very high on. So I don't know where, but that's my gut feeling is that we see Constant Helenius in game 4. But that's going to be it, Jonathan. Really appreciate you coming on. Look forward to having you on going forward more on the show. And it's nice to have somebody to talk with for these post games, sort of work through I guess our coping session.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Thanks for the opportunity. Happy to talk Sabres anytime, especially win, lose, draw, whatever. It's always good chatting with you, buddy.
Absolutely. Jonathon Howe from 97.7 Hits FM. Make sure to check him out if you're listening here in the Niagara region. So for Jonathan, my name is Brandon Caputo. That's going to be it for Sabres Semantics right here on the Armchair GM Sports Network. Proudly brought to you by Global Pet Foods, where pets are undeniably part of the family. There are 3 great Niagara region locations in Niagara Falls, Fawn Hill, and Scott Street in St. Catharines. Thank you to everybody tuned in live tonight on the YouTube live version, and those listening the next day in your favorite on-demand audio podcast platform. Final score, the Buffalo Sabres 2, the Montreal Canadiens 6 in Game 3 of the second round of the Stanley Cup playoffs. Game 4 goes Tuesday from the Bell Center in Montreal. See if the Sabres can respond on that one. So that's going to be it. Have yourself a great night. We'll talk to you again very soon here on the Armchair GM Sports Network and Sabres Semantics.
You're listening to the Armchair GM Sports Network.